Alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. We're continuing with different topics about belief in Allah and what it means to believe in Allah. Yesterday we talked about how in order to be true to La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you have to free your mind of any bad thoughts about Allah or any bad thoughts about His religion. You have to train yourself to accept all of Allah's laws, all of Allah's commands, and know that Allah commands and makes laws for our betterment. Well, also, today we're going to speak about another component, which is how belief in Allah also entails not imitating the non-Muslims. But unfortunately today, Muslims today do not know what it means to imitate a non-Muslim. You know, they think, for example, if a woman wears a pair of pants, she's imitating a non-Muslim. What do pants have to do with non-Muslims? You know, pants are not exclusive to them. You know, you mean to tell me that don't nobody wear pants except people who claim to be Christians? Are you crazy? Okay, that's not what imitation means. So we're going to speak about what it means to imitate non-Muslims, and then, you know, we're going to speak about how Islam looks at this. Also, just like having bad thoughts about Allah, just like having bad thoughts about the religion takes you out of Islam, it invalidates your belief in Allah. Well, the same thing with imitating the non-Muslims. To imitate the non-Muslims, this is another sign of disbelief. It's another sign that you truly do not believe La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And let me give you guys just a little bit of history. There was a time when we Muslims were supreme, and we led the rest of the world in the fields of science and arts and technology. Where the Muslim nation was once the acme of development and reached the highest level of power and glory, it later fell to the lowest point and was afflicted with misery, and it continued to fall to the point where we are today. Look at us now. We are a nation of people afflicted with misery. We are a nation of people of no respect. People view us as being terrorists, barbarians, and all of that. But believe it or not, there was a time when people respected us, looked up to us, and wanted to be like us. That's how Islam spread from out of Saudi Arabia to the rest of the world, throughout Europe, throughout Asia, throughout Africa. People embraced our way of life because we were supreme. But those days are gone. And what led to our destruction? What was it that caused us to become what we are today? Well, whenever a Muslim blindly imitates a non-Muslim, you in turn are turning into a loyal supporter of non-Muslim beliefs and non-Muslim customs. And you end up becoming like them. And that's what happened. We lost our glory. We lost our supremacy because we wanted to be like the Western world. We wanted to be like the UK. We wanted to be like America. We wanted to be like Australia. We imitated the Western world. We end up becoming supporters of their democracy, supporter of their customs, and all of that. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said, you Muslims, you will imitate the nations before you so much to the extent that if they were to crawl into the hole of a lizard, you will follow them into it as well. And when he made this statement, his companions asked, they said, Who are you talking about? The nations. You talking about the Jews and the Christians? He said, who else? And again, this was so true. This is one of the signs of the last hour. The prophets let the Muslims know, there's going to come a time when you're going to try to imitate them to the point where you become like them. And this is today. We're imitating the Christians and the Jews to the point that we're becoming like them. Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the day of judgment will not come until my nation will closely imitate the other nations. And the people said, are you talking about the Persians and the Romans? And the Prophet said, who else but them? The Christians and the Jews. The Persians and the Romans, those became Christian nations. Okay? And it's the truth. We're imitating them. We want to be like them. And we wonder why, we've lost that dignity that we used to have. So thus, guys, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam already foretold how we Muslims will end up adapting the ways of the Christians and the Jews. And also listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning. You unbelievers are like those who came before you, but they were stronger than you in power, and they were more abundant in their money and their children. They enjoyed their portion of worldly enjoyment, and you have enjoyed your portion as those before you did. And you have engaged in the vanities like they engaged in. And here we can see Allah is speaking about us, the unbelievers amongst us, the hypocrites amongst us. Okay? They're just like the unbelievers who came before us. But though they were stronger and had more money and more children. Remember, guys, the Christians and Jews, they always have more money than us. They have more intelligence than us. They're more intelligent than we are too. Okay? And we're going to end up doing just like they did and end up earning Allah's curse. Like they did. And again, Ibn Abbas explains that verse for us. He said Allah is speaking about the children of Israel. And Ibn Masud also explained it. He said, you are closely similar to the children of Israel in regards to outside appearance and mannerisms. But I do not know whether we will worship the calf or not. And again, look at the Jews and look at the Arabs. They look alike. Look at this picture. Here's a Jew. Tell me which one is Arabic and which one is Jewish. Like Ibn Masud said, we look like the Hebrew. We carry the same appearance, okay? We have the same mannerisms, even the same accent. If you listen to a Jew, a real Jew speak, they have the same accent similar to an Arabic person from the Gulf. The Gulf dialect, the Gulf accent is so similar to the Hebrews, okay? And we look alike. We're going to end up dressing like them, behaving like them, but to the point where maybe we'll end up worshiping a golden calf like they did. Subhanallah. Okay? So again, guys, this is something that the Prophet told us would happen. We Muslims will end up imitating and adapting the lifestyle and the ways of the Christians and Jews. And as a result, he told us to beware of this and to not adopt their ways, to not adopt their customs. But the thing is, most Muslims do not know what it means to imitate the Jew or to imitate the Christian. It does not mean wearing pants. To imitate the Jews or the Christians means to do something that is only related to them. Okay? To do something that only they do. For example, let me use dreadlocks. Dreadlocks. This way of wearing your hair. This is exclusive to the Rastafarians. They are a pagan people from out of Jamaica. The Rastafarians, they were the ones who invented and wear dreadlocks. Dread means to scare. The reason why they allow their hair to grow and mat up and like that is to scare away their enemies. And when the people would see them, they would be frightened of them with their hair going all over their hair like that. It would scare their enemies away. Also, wearing dreadlocks, it totally contradicts the tenets of Islam. You don't comb your hair, you don't brush your hair, you don't oil it, you don't take care of it. You let it knot up and grow nasty and ugly. Islam is all about beauty. Allah likes beauty. The Prophet said whoever has hair must care for it, oil it every day, grease it every day, comb it, wash it. So wearing dreadlocks totally contradicts the tenets of Islam. And this is a headdress exclusive to the Rastafarians. So as Muslims, we cannot wear dreadlocks because this is imitating the Rastafarians. That's an example of imitation. Okay? That's an example of imitation. Wearing pants is not exclusive to no kafir. In fact, for those of you who don't know, pants were invented by the Arabs and the Persian. Because the Arabs and the Persian women, they have to have something to cover their legs when they straddle those camels and straddle those elephants. Hello, Indian women wear them too. So pants is not exclusive, to anyone. Subhanallah. And also, guys, when the Prophet talks about imitation, we have to remember those hadiths that I just quoted about how we will imitate them. We have to understand that not the entire Muslim nation will commit this sin. The Prophet told us there will always be a small group of believers. There will always be a handful of believers who will try to hold on to his sunnah up until after the death of Jesus. When Jesus dies, it'll be different. But up until the death of Jesus, there will always be a handful of true believers who will try to hold on to his sunnah. We talked about how the death of Jesus will come because Allah will send a wind that will cause all the believers on earth to get sick and die. But until that happens, there will always be at least a handful that will try to adhere to his example. And we have that handful today. That's what we do here at this website, Sunnah Followers. That's why the name is Sunnah Followers. What do? We try to adhere to the example of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We teach you true Islam with the understanding of those companions, not the understanding of fatwa off the internet or anyone else. Okay, so up until the death of Jesus, there will always be a handful of believers who will try to hold true to the sunnah. Also, Allah has told us that we Muslims will be a witness over the nations that came before us. Not only will we imitate them, but we'll also be a witness over them. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning. And thus we have made you a just community, so that you will be a witness over the people, and the Prophet will be a witness over you. What does that mean? That means on the day of judgment, when all the prophets will stand before Allah with their followers behind them. For example, Jesus will say, never did I tell the people to worship me, Allah. Never did I call them to me and say I was your son. The people will lie and say, oh, yes, you did. But no, then Allah will ask, is there a witness? We Muslims will be the witness and say, Jesus speaks the truth. Never did he call them to worship him. So that's what Allah means when he says that we will be a witness over all the other nations. We will be the ones to witness that Moses spoke the truth. Moses did indeed call the people to Allah. Noah did indeed call the people to Allah. And our Prophet Muhammad will be a witness over us. Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. Okay? But despite this glorious honor that Allah has given to us by making us witnesses over the other nations, Muslims are so ignorant today that they still choose to adopt the customs and the traditions of the unbelievers and they want to blend in and be like them. For example, wearing those nasty dreadlocks. Dreadlocks are ugly, they're unattractive, and any man will tell you he don't want to look at no woman with no nasty dreadlocks. He rather look at a woman with long flowing hair that's been combed and styled, not no woman with no knotted hair. But we got all these Muslim women trying to blend in and look like the kafir. They even go so far today, guys, that we have men who call themselves scholars of Islam when they are not scholars. They're just good speakers and they're just famous personalities. But these men go so far as to read and study the unbelievers' books as a means of being like them. When the Prophet has forbidden this, subhanAllah, I'll never forget 15 years ago, a young man joined our website, and he was asking Sheikh Morsi's advice on classes to take in college. And Sheikh Morsi asked him, "What are you studying?" "Oh, I'm studying theology." He said, "I want to become a theologist so I can argue with the people of the book and prove to them how their Bible and their Torah is not correct." I remember Sheikh Morsi said, "Are you insane? This is a waste of time. Why would you waste your time studying the Kafir's books? Because what's going to happen is you'll probably become one of them." What reason do you have to read? You already know Allah has clearly told us that the true Bible, the true Torah, does not exist. Allah tells us in the Quran he had those books destroyed and he replaced them with the Quran. And Allah goes on even further to tell us that whatever was good in the Bible, whatever was good in the Torah, he put it in the Quran. The 10 Commandments, all that stuff is in the Quran. The story of Jesus is in the Quran. Moses in the Quran. Solomon and the Queen of Sheba in the Quran. David in the Quran. So what reason do you have to read these man-made books of today? It's haram, guys. If these men are true scholars of Islam, they would know that Islam forbids you and forbids me from reading those books. Where's my evidence? Remember, whenever we use the word haram, we have to bring proof. Well, we have the beautiful hadith. Whereas once Umar came upon a Torah and he began to read it, and he became excited. So he went to the Prophet. He said, "Oh, Prophet, look, listen to what this says. Listen to what their book says." And the Prophet began to walk away from him. Umar continued to follow him reading. And then finally, the Prophet turned and faced Umar, and he was so angry, you can see the veins in his neck. He said, "Oh, Umar, I have conveyed to you a clear religion. Do not ask the people of the book about anything, because they may tell you the truth while you believe them, or they may lie and you may believe them. I swear by Allah, in whose hand is my soul, if Moses were living today, he would have no choice but to follow me, subhanAllah." Those men that you women and men think are scholars on the internet who sit around reading the Bible and debating the Bible, they're Christian at heart. They're Christians, they ain't Muslim. It's haram to read those books. Like the Prophet told Moses, "What do you know? Allah told you he destroyed them. Whatever was good is put in the Quran. So how do you know that what you're reading is even the truth? How do you on one hand tell the people of the book that they lie on Allah? They lied on Jesus. But then you're going to go and say, but this part is true. That shows what a hypocrite you are. And I want every one of you listening to me to understand, if you truly believe La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you shouldn't own no book other than the Quran. Don't ever touch no Bible, no Torah, or any other book other than those hadith books and the Quran. Because just like the prophet said, if Moses were here today, what book would he be following? The Quran and the Sunnah of the prophet. When Jesus comes back, Jesus will not come back as a prophet. He will come back as the caliphate. And he will instill Islam as the religion of the world, the Quran. And he will instill the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. Here's my Dalil, people. So you leave those books alone. This is the only way. There is no other way to paradise but this way. And those men that you women and men listen to on YouTube, y'all go to their lectures and y'all think these men are scholars. They're Christians at heart. They're men who ain't got over their Christian beliefs. Because if they were true Muslims, they wouldn't touch no Bible. They wouldn't touch nothing but the Quran. Because they would know this hadith here. They would know this authentic hadith here. Okay? So again, guys, and this is wrong. Again, we imitate the Christians. We imitate the Jews. We even read their books. We sit around on one hand and tell a Christian that their books are filled with lies. But then on the other hand, we sitting there digging through it, talking about this part is true. How do you know? Whatever was good in the book, in those books, is in the Quran. The prophet did not give dawah with the Torah, and he lived with the Jews. He did not give dawah with the Bible, and he encountered many Christians. He gave dawah through the Quran. The Quran, when he sent those companions to Abyssinia. And that Abyssinian Christian, a king, asked about Mary. He didn't quote the Bible. Jafar did not quote the Bible. He quoted Surah Maryam from the Quran. That's how the companions gave dawah too. Shame on you Muslims today. You're not real in your belief. Okay? Also, guys, we have to understand, yes, it's true. Allah created us as human beings to interact with one another. And the simple fact that we interact is part of being human. You will end up imitating and adopting the ways of the people that you interact with. How many of you have heard that, people are close with their animals? Your dog ends up looking like you. Here's a picture of Snoop Dogg and his dog. They look alike. People tell me that me and my cats look alike. Association brings about assimilation. That's just the way it is, guys. And that's why the prophet taught us to be careful whom we choose to get close to, because you will end up picking up some of their characteristics and adopting their ways. Okay? So we have to be careful. This is why Islam teaches us when we talk about allegiance, and we covered this a couple of weeks ago. Our allegiance should be to Allah, the Prophet, and the Muslim believers. We don't have allegiance to the Christians. Why? Because we're different from them. I mean, that doesn't mean that we're mean and we hurt them. I can work with you on the job. I got your back. But once we punch out, I go my way and you go your way. But on the job, we're coming here to work together. To work together, we cover each other and have each other's back. But it cuts off when we punch that time clock and go home. Okay, we have to be careful who we assimilate, who we associate with, because you end up adopting their ways. And this is what happened in history. The Muslims became too close to the Christians, too close with the Jews, too close with the Western world, and ended up adopting their ways. Look now, go to Dubai. How many beaches they have? Bikini beaches. I was one of the sisters here at the website who lives in Dubai was telling me how rape has increased. They have a big problem right now as we speak in Dubai. Women are being raped by young boys on the beach. Young boys coming to the beach, pulling girls away, gang raping her. Well, what do you expect? You done brought Western culture to an Islamic land. These young kids ain't used to seeing women walk around in a pair of drawers and a bra. Hello. They're not used to that. So you think that those little teenage boys' hormones are that they don't know how to control their hormones? Subhanallah, you done brought the Western culture to your land, so now you brought Western crime too. A lot of rape. Rape is on the increase in a lot of the Arabic states now because they allowed all these beaches with women, Western women and all that. Okay? Alcohol. Another problem with Dubai. Dubai is the only Islamic country that had made it lawful to sell alcohol in the hotels. They got a problem with crime and robbing going on because people get drunk and the alcohol. Gambling. Gambling is a big problem over there too. They made it legal to gamble with the horses and all that. People wasting all their thousands and thousands. It's a rich country anyway. Many of them are blowing their money away on betting on the races, gambling. That's what happens when you imitate and adopt the ways of the non-Muslims. You're going to end up adopting their problems too. Rape, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, gambling, addiction, and all of that. So again, we have to be careful. We have to be very careful as Muslims to know our limitations. We can deal with the non-Muslims on a business level, but know how to cut it off. We're not going to get so close to them where we end up adopting their lifestyle, adopting their beliefs and all of that. Instead, we need to understand as Muslims that we should try to surround ourselves with the righteous believing Muslims. Try to surround yourself with the true people of knowledge. The true people of knowledge. Because if you surround yourself with the true people of knowledge, they will not only keep you balanced in your faith, but you also pick up their good manners, their good behavior. Because again, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whenever you imitate a people, you become one of them. You want to try to expose your children to righteous, strong Muslims because they can then imitate them, want to be like them. Subhanallah. Okay? So thus, guys, imitating the non-Muslims in the way they dress, their behavior, their customs, their lifestyle rules, all this should be avoided. Instead, we need to understand as Muslims, we should be leaders. We're supposed to lead, not be led. Allah gave us a glorious honor, and that honor is He made us a witness over all the other nations. That means you should be a leader. Our nation should not be deceived by the artificial adornments possessed by some devastated people. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of meaning. And do not extend your eyes towards that by which we have given enjoyment to some categories of them. It's being but the splendor of worldly life which we test them with. And the provision of your Lord is better. Again, don't look to these people as being your role models. Don't look to the non-Muslims as being your idols. Don't sit there and want to have what they have, bringing their naked beaches into your country, their alcohol, their gambling, their love for racing and all that, because look what it does to your people. It destroys you. It devastates you. It takes you away from Allah. Again, guys, we have to understand, what are we created for? We were created to worship Allah. And Allah put us here on this earth to test us in our faith. He surrounded us with all these wonderful things here in the world and told us, don't transgress the limits in our enjoyment. Remember, guys, the life of this world is just a temporary enjoyment. And we as Muslims should not be duped by it. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. But the unbelievers, their deeds are like a mirage in a lowland, which a thirsty person thinks is water, until when he reaches it, he finds it's nothing. It is nothing. But instead he finds Allah before him. And it is Allah who will pay him in full his due. And that's what the life of this world is, guys. It's just a temporary mirage. It seems like the non-Muslims have so much fun. It seems like the non-Muslims are on top. It seems like the life of a kafir is such a glorious life, but it's not. Look at those movie stars. All the money they have, all the beauty they have, they're unhappy. Look how many of them kill themselves. Look at how many of them are addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol. Look at that guy, Chris Brown. Look at this young boy who had everything. Look how he can't even keep himself out of jail. Subhanallah. It's just a mirage. The life of this world, the life of the unbeliever is a mirage. They don't know what their purpose is. You know what yours is. Don't allow them to pull you to their way. Okay? And we have to understand, guys, listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. Indeed, Allah, He will not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. And when Allah intends for a people bad, there is no stopping it. So again, guys, we need to understand, take a good hard look at yourself. You say that you believe, la ilaha illallah. You say that you are true in that. But are you harboring bad thoughts about Allah? Are you harboring bad thoughts about this religion? Are you secretly wishing you could be like Beyonce? You could be like Chris Brown. You could be like Rihanna, Britney Spears. Are you secretly desiring the lifestyle of the kafir where you can go to the beach and walk around in your bikini? You can go to a hotel and order liquor and get drunk and dance on the dance floor. You have to change the condition of yourself. If you find yourself harboring those desires, then you need to work on changing yourself, because a true believer has no desires such as that. Listen, guys, to what Allah tells us in the interpretation of the meaning. And say, ours is the religion of Allah. And who is better than Allah in ordaining religion? And we Muslims are worshipers of Allah. That's how you should look at yourself. You should not look at yourself as being some oppressed, unhappy person because you're Muslim. No, you are living the religion of Allah. And who is better than Allah in ordaining how to worship Him? You should look up at yourself, not down to yourself. You should never think that the unbelievers are better than you. They're not. They're not. This world is their paradise. You got something better waiting for you. Also, Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, say, then is it other than Allah that I seek as a judge, while it is He who has revealed to me the Quran? Subhanallah. Never allow yourself to be duped by the kafir lifestyle, to think that it's better than ours, where you want to imitate it. You want to be like it. You want to blend in and be accepted by them. This is not right, guys. And this is not the way you raise your children either. You have to raise your children and give them confidence in being a Muslim. Let them know that they were chosen by Allah to be a person of paradise. Because there'll be more people in hell than in paradise. You should feel honored that Allah chose to make you a Muslim. That Allah chose to guide you to His true religion. That Allah chose you to live by His book that has not been tampered with, that has not been changed, that book known as the Quran. That Allah chose you to be a person to emulate the best of all mankind, the Prophet Muhammad and his companions, subhanallah. So thus, guys, I want y'all to keep all this in mind. There is no way that you can truly say you believe in Allah if you're imitating and aspiring to want to be like the non-Muslims. Their lifestyle, their dress, their behavior. It's not for us, guys. We have to keep in mind Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of meaning. And whoever transgresses the limits of Allah, it is they who are the wrongdoers. And who is more astray than the one who follows his desires without guidance from Allah? Again, you are Muslim. Allah chose you to be of the right way. Allah chose you to be of paradise. Don't deviate away from that, guys. Don't lose your focus in life. Don't sit there and look at the kafir and think, oh my God, they're better than us. They have more than us. They're happier than us. No, no, no. It's all a mirage. It's all a facade. They're unhappy. They're miserable because they still have not figured out what their purpose in life is. You know what yours is. Yours is to worship Allah and to prove to him every day that he comes first. That your belief in him comes before your love of yourself, your husband, your children, or anything else. On that note, we'll stop right here for today. Tomorrow, we're going to speak a little bit more. Allah, Allah.